Very good afternoon. And I think this is a very, very relevant topic, and especially when you talk about entrepreneurship and opportunities in setting up new education businesses in India. Now, this has gained a lot of importance post COVID because a lot of disruptive innovation that is happening in this sector now. Now, this sector, especially, there's a saying in Hindi, to be successful, there are only three businesses which are successful, mostly successful worldwide: mithai, dawai, padhai. And there's no recession in these businesses because these are so essential. Education in our country, in India, as I mentioned, is going through a historical phase of disruptive innovation. And we all, present here, are part of this disruptive innovation, part of history. And why? Because, a lot of nuances are coming into education space, especially in India. Now, the way education used to be delivered pre-COVID versus which is the education delivered now is absolutely different. You talk about teachers, you talk about students, you talk about institutional and school management, you talk about parents. The way education is perceived today is absolutely different from the way it used to be perceived maybe a decade ago. And there's a reason to it. These students who are studying in schools and colleges and institutions and universities today were born maybe in early 2000s, late 1990s or early 2000s. They were born amidst a lot of technology. They breathe technology, they eat technology, they're all technology enabled all around. Versus our generation, which never saw technology. Mobiles came little later. We saw technology much later, and therefore we are not that active in technology versus the current generation of students who are tech savvy. As a result of which, the educational institutions, educators, faculties, teachers, students, parents, everyone needs technology enabled education. They understand technology enabled education. They need portable education. And therefore, the way and modus operandi of delivering education has changed to a great extent. Educational institutions have become physical, which means the combination of in-person as also digital way and modus operandi of delivery of education. So there are flipped classrooms, there are online education classes. A lot of content is delivered completely or partially online to the students. So a lot of the way the content is being created today by the institutions has gone digital. The faculties who used to be, sage on this stage are now guide by the side. And the reason is that no more the faculties are expected to be teaching typically in the way they used to teach a decade ago, which is basically following the curriculum and teaching. A lot of digital and online tools have come into way, which means that teachers today are teaching online fully or partially. Students, as I mentioned, are all around using technology to a great extent. Portability is the key. They actually study online to a great extent, and when they come to the classrooms, it's basically application of that knowledge. Parents are also digitally active. Now, in these circumstances, the issue and question is how do we become entrepreneurs or edupreneurs in today's circumstances when digitization is all around, digitization is all around? What are the key challenges and opportunities this digital application of education using AI, using ML, VR, AR technology has brought to the new entrepreneurs who are getting and entering into the education? And my co-panelists have ocean of knowledge and ocean of understanding in today's parallels, in today's circumstances, how technology-enabled education is modifying the way businesses are done in education space, how new entrepreneurs or edupreneurs are using this wave of digitization or technology-enabled education in their lives to bring it more profitability in whatever they're doing. What I will do is that, I'll talk about the aspects of setting up a new entrepreneur or entrepreneurship in different stages. So we have K to 12 education, we have test prep market, we have higher education market. These are the three key important aspects of education, and how today's entrepreneurs or upcoming entrepreneurs would be using these tools and technologies to become more profitable and successful. Now, I have as my co-panelist somebody, a CEO of GT Goenka Group, and they are into K to 12 education. They are into healthcare. They are into higher education, university education. We also have Anil ji, who is from Adda 247, which is basically into learning platforms for test prep. We also have Piyush ji, who's co-founder of Admitkard and the Big League, and they're using the digital platform for student visas, student loans, and any students who is interested in going overseas for their higher education. So we have a lot of knowledge in terms of the current situation and circumstances, and they will also be contributing into these aspects. So I would go around the co-panelist and seek their advice in terms of what are the current challenges they are facing in their respective businesses, what are the key opportunities and challenges they are anticipating, and what would be their piece of advice to the new entrepreneurs or edupreneurs to be successful in whatever they are doing. So I'll first go to Gaurav ji. Gaurav ji, you are the CEO of a large education group, GD Goenka Group, which actually spans from preschools to K to 12 schools to higher education to healthcare. How do you feel the current challenges, especially in the wake of digitization, as also what are the opportunities you foresee and your piece of advice?
Thank you, Dr. Maheshwari. So, staying relevant to your question, for an industry that caters to possibly more than half of the population of India in some or the other form, especially having a captive base of customer for most of the players in the industry that cater to them, any other industry would give their right arm, to operate in such an atmosphere where they have captive customers for multiple years with stable cash flows, uh, with instant feedback, with multiple opportunities of monetization. I would say technology came to this sector a little too late and a little half baked. In terms of applications, as we see in other industries, when technology comes, there's a lot of pre-prep, there's a lot of user research, there are a lot of use cases built and tested with direct feedback from the end users. I would say it was done in more of a hit and trial method for this industry. Uh, and I would say we are still halfway there, although I would say the last 5 years have been very good for the industry. And COVID, fortunately or unfortunately, propelled this technology adoption, made it more faster, made it more innovative, and we saw so many entrepreneurs just stepping up, taking up the challenge, and really tried to leapfrog what was done in the past decade. And these new age entrepreneurs, they really accelerated the way technology is supposed to be used in this sector or should be used. They came up with more novel solutions, more innovative solutions. We as a group, which are present in from preschool to PhD segments, we see these applications of technology firsthand every day, and it really varies from right from a small kid, a 3 4 year old kid that comes to a preschool, right to right up to a PhD scholar. It could be a person who is into a late stage in their career taking up a PhD. So we've seen the entire spectrum, and the user needs, the learning needs really vary, as a person ages, right from preschool to higher education. And most of the focus so far has been on delivery of the education, whereas I would say the entire value chain was a bit ignored in the process because of the focus on delivery. So apart from the delivery, there are parts of the value chain like learning management systems. In terms of operations, I would say admissions management system, student life cycle management system, even the established ERP players, they focused on these operations quite late, and I would say we still don't have a solution in the market that I can say would be a truly integrated ERP. Forget the entire spectrum from preschool to PhD, but even one part of that. So as somebody who runs these operations directly, I remain hopeful that the the ancillary industry that serves these, the ancillary industry that really develops these technology solutions becomes more collaborative. uh, I remain hopeful that the product development part happens in collaboration with the industry, with the stakeholders, especially the learners, especially the academicians, especially the on-ground operators. All, I would say, non-academic, but the daily operators. Because right, if you take a look at a school or a university, there are umpteen other operations, including transportation, uh, uh, hostels, food service. So on a campus like ours, in the GD Goenka University campus, we have 1,200 residents on campus, but we still end up serving more than 1 million meals every year. So management of preparation, service, management of those 1 million meals, that itself is a much bigger operation than a lot of restaurants or food service companies, I would say. So I really hope, I remain hopeful that the the software industry or the technology industry would step up, be more collaborative, take more steps forward. We keep looking for such partners, and we develop something truly fantastic together.
Thank you for your, pearls of wisdom. And what I could get from what you said was that students today are looking at more of personalized learning path, which means one size doesn't fit all. And the way education has been delivered so far was basically the lecture system where faculty is delivering lecture and you understand what you can understand, and that's it. Today, we're talking about personalized tracks of education, where even the government's new education policy, NEP 2020, is talking about that, where they want to actually track the personal, individual competency attainment as the student goes through the learning journey or learning life cycle in the learning ecosystem of your institution. Now, which has actually changed the entire landscape of education and the new entrepreneurs which are getting into the education space. So I'll come to you on that point a little later. I will now request Anil Nagarji, the CEO and founder of Adda 247, which is India's largest vernacular learning platform, which is into 12 Indian languages and they're into test prep segment. Test prep of late, not of late, I think since few decades, is one of the most important pieces of education or informal education, which almost most of the students in their 10th or 11th grade or 12th grade actually vie for. This is a very huge, massive market in India. And what I feel is that this space has always provided a lot of opportunities to new education entrepreneurs. What would be your piece of advice to new people who are getting into the test prep market? One, two, in your experience, in your venture, what have been the opportunities and challenges, and especially in the current circumstances, how do you see this test prep market growing in the country? Yep.
Um, Thank you so much for this introduction. So we cater to test prep market is starting from K-12 till UPSC and even beyond. It's a vast market. It's a very big market. So what we see is that most of the students who come out of 12th, they go through this test prep preparation multiple times in their journey. So when we talk of Adda 24/7 and when we think of the approach which we have taken in terms of building the business, so we went by identifying the problem statement. So there is this market, there are companies, they are solving certain problems, but where is the gap? Is there a gap? If there is a gap, how we can fill it? So for us, gap was that in most of the cases, people who stay in bigger cities, metros, tier one, they have access to good and quality education. Sometimes in their schools and sometimes outside school, they're able to get high quality education and even in terms of exam preparation. But when it comes to people coming from tier 3, tier 4 towns and villages, there is a huge gap because the current ecosystem or when we started, it was mostly about physical coaching centers, fragmented all across India, different brands in different geographies. And in most of the cases, what we saw is that in those places, the quality of education was very poor. So we clearly identified one specific segment for us, which is this segment, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and beyond. And then we kind of identified how we can help this audience. So when I look back and when I see our journey, so I can say there are three things which we have done in our journey to solve this problem at a bigger level. One, how we make high quality education accessible to masses, which means how you can ensure that everybody, somebody in a village or in a town, anywhere in India, they can access this high quality education. There, technology plays a big role, and in our case, it's a big enabler. Whatever we provide, it's all online and it's all through internet. But even more than that, it's about how you deliver that education to those people, because delivering even online education in a bigger city is different as compared to delivering education in a smaller city or a smaller, let's say, remote village, because their internet may not be consistent or device may be kind of cheaper device. So those were the things which kind of so things around that we did to solve accessibility problem. The second thing we focused was around affordability, that people at a scale, at mass level, or let's say at a village level, they don't have too much of paying capacity. So how you make your products affordable, highly affordable, so that everybody, almost everybody can afford your products. And third, which we adopted later in our journey, was how we make education vernacular. So in most of the cases, when we think of education or we go online and we want to say, we want to study something, we want to watch some videos, mostly the content was in Hindi or English. So we kind of focused on that, and we said that we are going to provide education in all major languages. So as of now, we deliver education in 12 regional languages. So all in all, these are the three things: accessibility, affordability, and vernacular focus, which has really helped us. And even in terms of solving the problem, I can tell you the scale. Every month on our platform, we have about 30 to 40 million users, about 4 crore users who come and who access some kind of study content on our platform. So I believe that India is a land of opportunities, and within that, education is one segment where opportunities are even higher, or I will say they can go to any level, because you can provide, you can choose your niche, you can identify a problem statement in the ecosystem, you can focus on that, and you can build on that sustainable business which stays here for long term. But it is about identifying the gap and working on filling that gap. I think that's my thought process.
Thank you so much. I think very wise piece of advice, and especially to the young entrepreneurs, because this is a niche field, and this is growing tremendously. Not only for the undergrad admissions into engineering and medicine and law and management, but also when you talk about career-oriented courses like civil services, defense services, and all. Test prep is one of the largest growing market, and with the enablement of technology, the coverage and reach to the unreached is possible and viable. And as you mentioned rightly, offering these services in 12 regional and vernacular languages is another cherry on the ice cream, because it's important. As you rightly said, most of the content worldwide and including in our country is available in English or Hindi, and these people who have studied their grade 12 in the local or regional languages, they are actually left out. So including inclusivity and accessibility are the two key factors in your business, especially in test prep. That is the key when you talk about test prep market. That's my understanding. Thank you for your inputs. Thank you. Now I look at Mr. Piyush Bhartiya, co-founder of Admitkard, and the big league. They are into foreign education consultancy, scholarships, student visas, student loans. And good thing is that unlike typical, consultants that used to be helping students to go overseas, seeking admissions and visa facilities and other facilities in on one-on-one discussions in a physical setup, they use a tech platform to actually reach the unreached, as I was mentioning just now, and ensure that you have a wider coverage and reach to consult students who are actually interested in foreign education, overseas education. India exports more than 500,000 students every year to various foreign universities, largely in US, UK, and Australia, New Zealand. And I think uh, this has been quite restricted to certain states, and within these states to even A-class towns or top-class towns. But using an edtech platform has made it accessible to everyone and anyone across the country. So I have specific questions to you. How you thought about using an online platform for this services? How successful it has been? What are the key benefits people have actually gained, especially in overseas education? And what do you see as a future of this activity? And any advice to any entrepreneur who wants to get into this? Thank you.
थैंक यू प्रेम जी तो यार अब हम लोगों ने जब ये थॉट प्रोसेस था कि एडमिट कार्ड स्टार्ट करना है तो ऑनलाइन स्टार्ट करो ऑफलाइन स्टार्ट करो एंड देयर वर लॉट ऑफ deliberations around how do we actually reach to our students. काफ़ी सिंपल सा थॉट प्रोसेस था. मैं रुड़की से पढ़ा हूँ, मेरा को फाउंडर इलाहाबाद से पढ़ा है एंड हम लोग इससे पहले एक और कंपनी चला रहे थे विच वॉज अराउंड अकोमोडेशन फॉर यंग स्टूडेंट्स एंड यंग प्रोफेशनल्स. एंड वहाँ पर हमारे पास जितने बच्चे आते थे दे वर ऑल फ्रॉम लाइक वेरी इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस से बहुत लोग आते हैं, राइट. एंड टिपिकली एक इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज सेटअप करने के लिए यू नीड लैंड, तो इट्स ऑलवेज ऑल्सो साइटली ऑन द आउटस्कर्ट्स एंड दिस इज वेयर ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स वर. एंड रुड़की हो गया, इलाहाबाद हो गया और एनी अदर टाउन वेयर यू सी सम ऑफ दीज कॉलेजेस बीइंग देयर इज एब्सोल्युटली नो करियर गाइडेंस अवेलेबल. टिपिकली इंडियन कॉलेजेस में करियर गाइडेंस सेल के नाम पे प्लेसमेंट सेल होता है एंड you are focusing on student placements into the industry. So that's where we said that if you want to truly reach out to the student population that is looking for an opportunity apart from what that college is giving as a placement day, we need to be digital so that we can actually reach out to them, because we didn't have the resources कि हम हर जगह पे जाकर के physically present भी हो सकते थे. So I think that was the mindset why that how do we reach. And I think जैसे अनिल जी ने बोला कि यार vernacular and digital gives you that reach and understanding. Same was the thought process for us. I think the bigger problem that India is going through is that we are saying we have all the demographic dividend. हमारे पास बहुत young लोग हैं, होनहार लोग हैं जो कि दुनिया को कैप्चर कर सकते हैं, but all that energy is not directed in the right way. We do not know कि यार मैं young हूँ, मैं मेहनत कर सकता हूँ, I have a lot of skills, but how do I get fully employed is a big question that the Indian students have. And in our first venture, we had about 1,000 odd tenants, which were सब all young बच्चे थे. And they were like, भैया आप तो IIT आए हो, तो हम अपना करियर कैसे बना ले. मैंने कहा यार मेरे को क्या पता, मेरे को तो सब प्लेट पे रखा हुआ मिला है. मैं तो कॉलेज में गया, मैं तो दिमाग नहीं लगाया, मेरे को नौकरी लग गई. But then when we sold that company, that was the trigger point. I mean, this year 2024, 11.7 lakh students have given JEE. सारे IIT मिला लो, NIT मिला लो, IIIT मिला लो, मिला के भी 30,000 सीट नहीं है. तो अगर मैं राउंडिंग एरर में भी बोल दूंगा तो वो सब राउंडिंग एरर में ही निकल जाते हैं. What happens to the rest of the world? All that demographic dividend is sitting there. We realize that इंडिया में कितना भी जॉब्स बना लो, कितना भी एजुकेशन बढ़िया कर लो, स्टूडेंट पढ़ाई कर रहा है जॉब के लिए. So that was our mindset कि यार जॉब लगनी चाहिए. And we picked up all the study destinations where student can get work permits after their education. That is a kind of a naturalization into a long-term stay in that particular country. That is how the mission for Admitkard became, that we don't want to give you access to education. We are giving you access to global careers. And that is why we focus only on countries where students can get gainfully employed. US being a really good environment for students going for STEM programs to get employment opportunities. And hence that is the mission that Admitkard and my team is at. I think एक और बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट था कि सब लोग ऑनलाइन कोई नहीं कर रहा था, सबसे बात करते सब लोग ऑनलाइन तो चल ही नहीं सकता यार, इतना हाई वैल्यू ट्रांजैक्शन. एंड आई वर्कड अ लॉट इन रियल एस्टेट, सो घर कोई ऑनलाइन थोड़ा ना खरीद लेगा. So we said कि यार हाँ you are right, but if I'm renting a house, people want to come and see it. Site visit कहते थे उसको. But a college abroad, you can't see, or it becomes very expensive to actually go and see. So what we did was we created a layer of mentorship where we brought in existing students who were studying. Indian बच्चे थे जो इन सब various universities में पढ़े थे. We created a layer of mentorship into our technology platform, which provided more transparency than many people were comfortable with. Because बच्चे बताने लगे यार यहाँ तो नौकरी नहीं लग रही, part time job नहीं लग रही, यहाँ तो यार खर्चे बहुत हैं मेरे, और so. But then all of those kids, because they are there in that environment, they're trying to solve that problem also. So the same kids who were raising out the problem were also giving the solutions. And that created unparalleled trust with the platform, which was the biggest point for building out, completely transitioning an offline business to online. And I think that trust is something that we were able to solve for, which I believe is very much valid in all education space. The only factor that matters in learning is how much do you trust your teacher. There is a shlok called Shraddhavan Lavte Jnanam. So if you are not having Shraddha in your teacher, आप उनसे कभी सीख ही नहीं सकते. और वो बेकार भी आधे पढ़ लिखे भी टीचर होंगे, बट उन पे अगर आपका ट्रस्ट होगा तो आप उनसे सीख ही जाओगे. तो आई थिंक दैट ट्रस्ट इन एजुकेशन और एनीबडी enabling access to education, that is very important, that we solved for. I think what challenges we are facing as a business right now, and I think a lot of education companies are linking your mission to the student's goal. We believe, that is, I think, student outcome has to be primary in every education company. हम लोगों ने माइंडसेट बनाया कि यार अगर हम एजुकेशन बच्चे को दिला देंगे तो हमारा गोल मीट हो गया, बिकॉज वी गेट पेड बाय यूनिवर्सिटीज. तो अगर हमारा बच्चा अगर यूनिवर्सिटी ज्वाइन नहीं कर रहा है तो वी डोंट गेट पेड. सो आवर रेवेन्यू इज डायरेक्टली लिंक टू स्टूडेंट एडमिशन. बट इज स्टूडेंट एडमिशन truly the success for a student? Absolutely not, because कोई भी education is a spend, it's an investment. So unless there is a return, that investment is actually worth zero. So now we are also figuring out कैसे करेंगे यार हम लोग Admitkard में we are able to link it to student employment. How do we further our vision? And I think that's the biggest challenge that we are trying to solve for, which I believe is a collective question in not just education tech companies, but education in itself as of today. Probably, yeah, I hope I answered all the questions.
Absolutely brilliant. I think you rightly pointed out that today the focus of institutions and universities is not to make students skills ready or job ready. It's basically to prepare them as global citizens and make them global ready or life ready. And this mission, I think, is absolutely fulfilled through your institution and organization, because then you're using technology to actually reach to the unreached, those people who can dream of foreign education but are absolutely clueless. And most of us are. We are dependent on Google most of the time to understand which educational institutions overseas should be approached for right kind of education. And this is basically a fantastic service you're offering. I think this is wonderful. Also, just a little bit about what I do is I'm into EdTech, education technology. So we are into learning management platforms, which are provided to educational institutions, all K-12, higher education and corporations, where they use this educational learning management platform to not only create wonderful live content, but also ensure that wide variety of types of examinations could be monitored through the learning management system. And immense amount of data analytics using artificial intelligence can be utilized using this platform. Now, since we have less time, what I would do is I'll go to all my panelists and request them to give one piece of advice to the future edupreneurs, entrepreneurs who wish to get into this booming education industry, be it K-12, higher education, or test prep. What one piece of advice would you like to give them? And especially if you could talk a little bit about in your last piece of advice on the financial aspects of a startup. So over to you, sir.
So my insights, I would say, first of all, kudos to whoever put this panel together, because we just got the right diverse set of views. And in fact, my insights are derived from my esteemed co-panelists who were able to give an insights into their business. So as a word of advice, whoever is building an education or ed tech business, why Adda 24/7 has been so successful, because they managed to hit the holy trifecta of affordability, accessibility, and availability. Most of the education businesses you see would achieve or end up attaining uh, at most two out of these three. But because they did not stop after accessibility and affordability, they then focused on availability into different vernacular languages. That's why they've been so successful. So there's a huge learning to take from that. Secondly, in terms of Admitkard, because they started above this base layer, their target group or their students were the ones who were not struggling for availability, affordability, or accessibility. They then focused on one layer above that, which is, I would say, acceptance, sustenance, and relevance. So, and I think they again did a good job. They managed to hit all three. So, I think we have live examples in front of us on what a successful education venture should look like. You should just define your segments well. If you're in the bottom segment, maybe you focus on the three A's first. If you're in one segment above that, if you're in a market where these three are given, then you of course focus on the other three. That's what my word of advice would be.
Thank you so much, Anilji.
So I think beyond identifying the gap in the ecosystem, one thing which I think matters the most is that what's the value add you are going to do there? What's going to be your differentiator? Because many times we start something, uh, but eventually, though no, there is no differentiation. There is no more. There is nothing different in your business which differentiates you from others. So over a time, it becomes commodity kind of thing, and you don't have any advantage over that. So so I will think that whenever you are thinking of entering into business or let's say into education segment, first thing you should do is identify a gap, identify one area where you see that there is a need, there is a problem statement, and then try to think of a solution where eventually, not on day one, but eventually you will be able to create some differentiation or you will be able to solve this problem in some innovative or some different way. In fact, in today's times, uh, a lot of technological advancements are happening and Gen AI is coming up very fast. So there is huge opportunity around that because even when we talk of edtech or any other company, uh, I think Gen AI is going to play a big role in next 2 to 3 years. So there is huge opportunity. Only thing is you have to assess yourself, what are your strengths and how you are going to solve that problem in a more innovative and differentiated way.
Thank you so much. Piyush, your word of advice.
नो थैंक्स. एक चीज़ गौरव सर को जरा थोड़ा सा उनके एक पॉइंट पे आई जस्ट ऐड, व्हेन यू आर लुकिंग एट स्टूडेंट्स जो बाहर जा रहे हैं, almost 65% of the families have an income between 4 lakh to 14 lakhs because they come under certain kind of a loan bracket जहाँ पर उनको लोन मिल पाता है. That's where this figure is from. So it is not कि हम लोग बहुत अमीरों के बच्चों को बाहर भेज रहे हैं. That's not the thought process. That's why education financing also plays a very critical role. Also, we are applying for students from more than 1,000 cities across India. So it is also not a very metro or a large city driven phenomenon. इंडिया से बच्चे टीयर 2 टीयर 3 सिटी का बच्चा ज़्यादा भूखा है, वो ज़्यादा हंग्री है, उसको ज़्यादा सक्सेस चाहिए और वो ज़्यादा फाइट मारने के लिए तैयार है. सो आई थिंक इंडिया एज अ फोर्स हम लोग बहुत धांसू लोग हैं यार. एंड आई थिंक वी कैन मतलब the spirit is not there only in the large cities. But yeah, for somebody who's starting out a venture in education, I have started 7 years back. My primary focus is profitability today. So I would say keep in mind when you're thinking of a business कि यार धंधा बनेगा नहीं बनेगा, फंडिंग को सोच देंगे आ जाएगी ठीक है, but it should be profitable and keep that in mindset. And I think the only thing that will get you sustain you for a long term is कि अगर अपना student outcome आ रहा है. अगर स्टूडेंट आउटकम नहीं आ रहा है, पढ़ा करके आप कुछ भी कर लो, आप उसको कुछ भी कर लो, वो eventually your customer will leave you if you are not able to deliver student outcome. तो student outcome अगर हमारा customer at the end of the day student ही होगा, and student outcome अगर नहीं आ रहा है, तो that is where whatever best we do will not succeed. So I think those are the two things. Thank you so much.
Absolutely agree and सारे जहाँ से अच्छा.